All right, folks, the April 20th, 2021 Committee on Zoning, Landmarks and Building Standards is called to order. Pursuant to applicable law, the chairman has determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent. Accordingly, attendance at this meeting will be by remote means only. We will start off with a roll call. Committee members, please unmute yourself. And please note that your yes or present response will be deemed to be a yes vote when the quorum call is used as a reference vote for later items. Everybody understand that?
Deal?
Okay. All right. We will start with the roll. Vice Chair Raboyes.
Present.
Alderman Hopkins. Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman Sawyer. Alderman Beal.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Alderman Ray Lopez. Alderman David Moore. Alderman Mike Rodriguez. Alderman Cicho
Mike
Lopez. Mike Rodriguez is here. Thanks, Mike. Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Present.
Alderman Burnett.
Present.
Alderman Cardona.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Wagasback.
Present.
Alderman Austin. Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderman Riley.
Present.
Alderman Kappelman.
Present.
Alderman Osterman. Alderman Haddon.
Present.
And
13, including you.
there's 15 including.
13.
I'm sorry, 13 including myself, and we do have a quorum. All right, just for the record, my assistant Nicole is back on the job with a healthy. Big
Congratulations.
child, a large child. I
Nicole.
don't know how to say it, but so there'll be no fooling around. Nicole is here, okay? So, all right. Okay. We will now move on to the approval of the Rule 45 report containing the minutes of the March 2021 hearings of the Committee on Zoning, Landmark and Building Standards. All members of the committee should have received a copy of this report electronically, and if hearing no objections.
Riley Summers.
Do I have a motion by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum to approve the minutes?
Alderman Kappelman so moves.
Alderman Kaplan makes that motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing no objections, the report has been approved. Moving, okay. Moving on, we will now hear the items to be deferred. I will read the ward, the file number, the address, and page number, and we'll take a motion for all at the end. We'll start on page 11 of the revised agenda and page 8 of the regular agenda in the 28th and the 25th wards. File number 20649 for the address commonly known as 1002 South Racine, 1257 West Roosevelt, 1357 West Roosevelt, and 1322 West Taylor. Also on page 11 of the revised agenda and page 8 of the regular agenda in the 27th ward. File number 20656 for the address commonly known as 876 North Franklin Street. On page 11 of the revised agenda and page 8 of the regular agenda, also in the 27th ward, file number 20651 for the address commonly known as 1201 through 1215 West Fulton Street. On page 12 of the revised agenda and page 9 of the regular agenda, in the 27th ward and the second wards, file number 20650 for the area bounded by West Chicago Avenue, North LaSalle, West Walton, North Wells, West Oak, and West Chestnut, which is commonly the Moody Bible, right? I think that's the Moody Bible. We've got more work to do with the aldermans on that one. And lastly, on page 12 of the revised agenda and page 10 of the regular agenda in the 22nd ward, file number 20657 for the area bounded by South Cicero, West 44th Street, South LaPorte Avenue, and South Laverne. And I think those are the LeClaire apartments, I believe. I've seen both of those in the paper. All right, if there are no questions by committee members, I need a motion to defer the previously listed items by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum.
So moved.
Cardona,
Mr.
so moved.
Chairman.
That was moved by Alderman Dow, makes the motion. Any objections to that motion?
No objections, but Alderman David Moore is present for quorum.
Alderman
Thank
Carrie Austin is present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let me, so hearing no objections, these items have been deferred. And then we have Alderwoman Carrie Austin and Alderman David Moore. Anybody else that want to be listed on the call?
No, 15 members. Alderwoman Taylor is here. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Jeanette Taylor has joined us today too. All right. If you can believe it, we do not have public speakers signed up for today's hearings. So we will jump right into things. First, we're going to start with appointments. Are we starting with appointments?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to start with appointments, which are on the addendum to the agenda. On the middle of the first page, there are 2 mayoral appointments. All committee members should have received appointees' resumes in their packets and possibly have heard from them. I hope they have. Let me start. First up is A 2021-40, the appointment of Ann McDonald as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have Ann McDonald here if she'd like to say a few words. Ann?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Thank you. And thank you to everyone here as well. It's a pleasure to be with you today. As Alderman Tunney noted, my name is Ann McDonald, and I am grateful for your consideration as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I know that aldermen are a very important part of the process with the ZBA, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with you and learn from you all serving in that role. I was able to speak with some of you. I did reach out to everyone, didn't get a chance to actually speak with everyone, but I do hope that we have that opportunity in a one-on-one format at some point. And I'm appreciative of this time to speak with you all today. A little bit about me. I am very excited again to have this opportunity to serve the city. I'm an attorney, and public service has always been a very important part of my legal practice, and I've been looking for another way to give back. And so this is an opportunity to use my skills and my experience to serve in this role. And I know there are long days and long meetings, but I do find the work very interesting and important, and would be again excited to serve. So if there's any questions I can answer, or other issues I can speak to, I would be happy to address any of that at this time.
Okay, we have hand up. Alderman Ray Lopez, I believe it.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to be recognized for the purposes of establishing quorum. Thank you.
You got it. Any questions for Ms. McDonald?
No question. Move to pass by Alderman David Moore.
Right. Since no further questions, Alderman David Moore moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing no objections, this appointment is passed and will be referred to the City Council tomorrow. So, Ann, that's probably the easiest day in your career with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Just happened. So, good luck to you. I know you reached out to many of us. And I know what I've heard from my individual conversation with you is how important the alderman is as the spokesperson, the elected representative for the ward when items come in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So you've been trained well on that one, and hopefully we'll see you in the hall and get to meet you personally. Thanks and good luck to you. All right. Next is A 2021-41, the appointment of Bashili Rowe as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have Bashili here if she would like to say a few words.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and distinguished aldermen of the committee. I greatly appreciate your time today. I'm going to take a few minutes and just introduce myself so that we can get to know one another a little bit better. My name is Vaishali Rao. I'm the daughter of 2 immigrants from India. Although I was born in the US, I moved around when younger. And eventually when I was 10, we moved to Chicago. Like most immigrants, my parents' first priority was giving me a good education. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 people and a dog so that my siblings and I could go to Naperville schools. I remember many a weekend drive to the stores on Devon so that my mom could stock up on all the Indian supplies she needed. I remember our home was always filled with out of town or even out of country visitors, and we always proudly took them to check out the many sights and sounds of Chicago. We used to joke that whatever age I was at the time was how many times we had gone on the architectural boat tour that year. Fast forward many years, and I was graduating from the University of Pittsburgh. It came as no surprise to me or anyone else that I wanted to move to Chicago. I attended law school at the John Marshall Law School, and I never left. Through law school, I worked for a diverse number of people and organizations, and I soaked up any opportunity to understand the context behind the work we were doing. For instance, my first job at the Chicago Housing Authority, it was going into a large library and organizing several hundreds of legal binders containing legal orders from the all-important case, Gautreaux v. Chicago Housing Authority. I didn't know it then, but housing discrimination would be an issue I continued to care about through my whole career. I clerked for the Honorable Jesse Reyes during the height of the foreclosure crisis when he was a circuit court judge in the Chancery Department. Every morning we would come in to find stacks of foreclosure filings that were often several feet high, and it was our job to ensure process was served in each and every case. Straight out of law school, I moved to Springfield where I worked on the Speaker's legal staff. During my short time there, I worked on the Committee Juvenile Justice Reform, where I helped to pass the law allowing for expungement of juvenile records. I got a taste of understanding the legislative process and the many diverse interests and stakeholders involved in it. I served as an Assistant Attorney General in Consumer Protection for close to a decade in the Chicago office of the Illinois Attorney General under Lisa Madigan. I won't go over all the types of works I did there, but it included holding financial institutions accountable for the financial crisis through fair lending cases and the national foreclosure settlement with the nation's 5 biggest banks. When the money from those settlements landed in the AG's office, I was one of the primary attorneys responsible for determining how to give the monies to organizations to support the revitalization of communities devastated by the crisis. It was, again, a process. Knowing that we certainly did not have all the answers, we impaneled a team of housing experts from all over the state, from government, nonprofit, and private sectors to evaluate requests for proposals and develop a fair and transparent process. We were able to get $70 million in communities across the state and assist in the creation of the Cook County Land Bank to more intentionally repurpose vacant and abandoned properties. I left the AG's office to spread my wings and become a partner at Henshaw Culbertson, helping companies with regulatory and compliance, primarily in financial services. I assist businesses in navigating the often thorny landscape of government. Like many of you, I have come to tremendously respect business owners and the value they provide in our communities. When I left, I was leading the charge on several national student loan cases and policy objectives. Although it was a difficult decision to leave, I have found opportunities to stay connected to civic work. For instance, I am legal counsel to the Illinois State Treasurer on the development of their student investment account as they work towards getting more Illinois residents affordable access to higher education. Last year, I successfully completed a fellowship, like I think some of you, at Leadership Greater Chicago, during which the same themes of bringing together individuals from different sectors to bring civic change echoed. During LGC, I had the opportunity to learn more about communities to which I am not naturally connected, like Austin, for example. Before COVID, we were able to visit with community leaders like yourselves, patronize local establishments, and understand the many vast and unique assets our diverse neighborhoods in Chicago offer. It is certainly not all in the headlines. At the tail end of our fellowship, we pivoted to address the needs of Chicagoans during the coronavirus, the race riots, and many other 2020 events. A small group of us focused on small business needs. I believe our businesses are the lifeblood of the city. Since the official fellowship ended, we've actually remained working on bringing an integrated, full-service technology platform called the Lonely Entrepreneur to thousands of Chicago businesses, primarily to assist our Black and Brown businesses who lack historical access to resources and support. We're still working on it. Stay tuned. I'd love to connect with you and keep you involved. I've told you a lot of stories to help you get to know me more than hopefully what you just see on paper, and also to help get to the point here that you may be wondering, why the ZBA? As my experiences demonstrate, I am passionate about the city of Chicago, learning about new people, improving processes, and mostly understanding the diverse needs of each community. Although imperfect, like most facets of government, I believe the ZBA is a part of a civic process that we should work to improve, and I would take seriously the opportunity to serve on it. Distinguished aldermen and alderwomen, you are elected and I am not. Your voice holds tremendous power in your communities. You are the connection between the government and the people. I am open-minded and interested in learning more about you and your wards. I've enjoyed the conversations where I have connected with many of you. As I said to some of you on the phone, I'm looking to learn and find ways to work with you and improve upon the concerns you may have in the process. In closing, I'll tell you just one more quick story. About a year ago, my husband and I were looking for a home, and mainly a neighborhood where we could easily access public schools for our 2 kids. We almost moved to Oak Park, but it didn't feel right. Both of us had cold feet at different moments. One night, as we both lay restless about the decision, my husband finally asked me what was really holding me back. I said, "This seems so far from Devon. How will I buy Indian snacks and treats for the kids? How will we expose them to our heritage?" And that was that. I guess we all become our parents in one way or another. We are proud members of Alderman Vasquez's 40th Ward, and we plan to send our kids to the neighborhood school Chappelle in the fall. Aldermen and alderwomen, I am honored to be considered for this important position. My immigrant parents are thrilled that I would even be considered. I ask for your support in my confirmation. I'm glad to take any questions you have. Thank you for your time, and mostly thank you very much for your public service.
Thank you, Ms. Rowe. We have Alderman Ray Lopez on a question. Raymond?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. I just want to thank our nominee before us for reaching out. It was a very good discussion, and I am very thankful that she takes the approach that recognizing that we are the elected, she is the appointed. I think will be a wonderful breath of fresh air to that board. And if there's no other questions, would move to pass on this appointment.
Thank you, Raymond. I do have another hand up, and that's Alderman Maria Hadden.
I'll be equally brief. Thanks, Chair. Also want to thank Ms. Rao for the time. Ms. McDonald, I'm sorry we didn't get to speak. Appreciate both of you for volunteering and stepping into this role. And Ms. Rao, I appreciate you sharing so much of your background so that we can get to know you better. Looking forward to supporting your nomination.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Carrie Austin. Carrie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Strong nominee. I've been in your parents' neck of the woods quite a few times on Devon, looking for Indian snacks and clothing. But nevertheless, you said that when you and your husband were thinking about purchasing a home, you almost moved out of Chicago, or you were thinking about moving out of Chicago. Have you thought about moving to the far south side or any of those communities? Bronzeville, any of those areas?
Absolutely. And there's no question, again, when we were making our decision to buy a home, I was involved in Leadership Greater Chicago, where I was getting exposed to all kinds of communities and neighborhoods I really had not been before. And so there's no question, I've considered all types of neighborhoods. I ended up learning to find comfort in my roots a little bit, but and feel proud of that decision. But there's no question, any opportunities I can have to make friends, go into those communities, go into neighborhoods where I don't live. I try to take my kids all over the city and help them be exposed to people and neighborhoods and community centers that we don't have access to, or we don't have on the north side. And certainly, I'm personally proud of all the neighborhoods we have in Chicago. I wish I had the opportunity to live in more.
Well, I'm glad that, I do hope you bring your children to the Obama Center when it's completed. But I, like some of my colleagues, I'm glad that you've taken on the position as to want to be on the ZBA. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Carrie. I don't see other hands up. So there was a motion by Alderman Ray Lopez to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that motion? Hearing no objections, this item is passed and will refer to the city council tomorrow. Thank you, Ms. Rowe. Again, looking forward to working with both of you on the zoning board of appeals. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Alderman Osterman is on the call. He's joined us and he will be on the roll call.
Thank you.
Let me just see. All right. Now, we're going to stay a little bit out of order. We're going to go to the third item listed on the addendum, document number 02021-1193, a text amendment introduced by Mayor Lightfoot, the amendment of municipal code titles 1, 2, 4, and 14A regarding the building code scofflaw list and associated restrictions. We have Commissioner Boudreaux. Matt is here. He will testify, but in advance of your testimony, Commissioner, we did have hearings. We did have briefings on this last week. There was a very good dialogue. And I hope if those of the committee members that were not at the briefing have been given the fact sheets out, and we're going to hear from the commissioner, and hopefully we can get a condensed version of what the briefings talked about last week. Matt?
Chairman Tony, please add me to the attendance roll call. Alderman Hopkins.
Thank you, Alderman Hopkins. We'll add you. Commissioner?
So good morning, Chairman Tony, and the honorable members of the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. My name is Matt Baudet, and I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Buildings, and always pleased to be before you. I'm here today to ask for your favorable consideration of Mayor Lightfoot's ordinance to amend the provisions of the code regarding building code scofflaws. As you may be aware, the city was authorized to prepare a building code scofflaw list for buildings subject to circuit court actions beginning in 2010, and subsequently authorized to prepare a problem landlord list for buildings subject to administrative hearing cases in 2015. As many of you and I have discussed, when I was first named and pretty much a constant dialogue, which I appreciate, the current structure of both the list is extremely cumbersome and counterproductive to the point where only a few buildings make these lists. Mayor Lightfoot charged DOB and DOL with having a list that was efficient, meaningful, and effective. My predecessor correctly moved serious code violations out of administrative hearings and back to the circuit court, where the city can seek to utilize the equitable and punitive powers of the circuit court. Therefore, no buildings currently qualify for the problem landlord list, and we need to improve the building scofflaw list to truly make it meaningful and effective. The current building scofflaw list requires a building owner to have multiple residential buildings in circuit court within a set calendar window. The current list also is owner-driven and not address-driven. And while there are a few Baudets in the city of Chicago, there are multiple duplicate other names in the city. And having the attorneys in the law department manually go around and try to compare named defendants in active court cases and cross-check ownership records is a timely and inefficient process. Under the amended ordinance, it would only take one bad building to be on the list. It would also be address-driven, and there would be no need to cross-check for multiple cases and within a set calendar window. The proposed process would focus on the truly egregious buildings where the owners have failed to make any good faith effort to fix the building and are simply just ignoring the city, the tenants, and the community. The proposed process would also extend to non-residential buildings as well as residential buildings. So we're expanding the scope of the list. Under the amended ordinance, a building can be placed on the list if it is occupied, it is subject to a circuit court case brought by the city for building code violations, is being prosecuted as a drug gang or other disorderly house or on the Troubled Building Initiative, and remains active to circuit court enforcement for more than 18 months. The last point is important as it underscores that these are the owners that are making no attempt whatsoever to correct the serious violation and are simply hoping that the matter is going to drag on in court while they ignore the tenants, the city, and the community and suck money out of the buildings. As law department will reiterate, an owner will end up on the list through their own conscious refusal to fix violations or work with the city, tenants, or the community. The penalties for being on the list remain to be a prohibition from city contracts and grants and other fundings, city permits or licenses, zoning changes, which, as you know, is really the most coveted things that these folks want, or street or alley vacations, registration as a vacation or short-term rental. Furthermore, buildings on the list will be subject to continual building inspections while they're on the list. So we're not just going to create a list and then just not do anything with it. One very important enhancement that Mayor Lightfoot insisted on was that DOB continue to inspect the buildings for a period after it has actually been removed from the list. This practically guards against the building backsliding and requires at least 2 DOB inspections with no serious violations found within 6 months apart. Also, there's no set calendar window for the list, so one cannot simply wait the clock out until the old list expires and a new one is issued. The department will work in partnership with the Department of Law to create and maintain building code scofflaw lists. The first list will be published on October 1st, 2020. Subsequent lists will be released every 6 months. And DOB and DOL will also work with AIS on providing a user-friendly web page or portal for the public to view this list. A building can be removed from the list by submitting an order from the circuit court showing the dismissal of the case for compliance. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm also joined here today by First Deputy Commissioner Marlene Hopkins, Managing Deputy Commissioner Grant Ulrich, and from the Law Department, Deputy Corporation Counsel Kim Roberts, and Supervising Assistant Corp Counsel Steve McKenzie. We're happy to answer any questions, and we ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to start with Alderman Ray Lopez. Raymond.
Thank you again, Chairman, and good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. First off, let me just say that I am pleased that the city, the mayor, and the departments are taking serious, making public this list of bad actors in our neighborhoods. I think it's an important first step, but as you know, Commissioner and Deputy Corporation Counsel McKenzie, there was a couple issues I brought up during our briefings, and I'd like to get some clarification. First off, Commissioner, one of the things that we touched on was that we have been discussing for some time now, years and decades, how do we create a user-friendly portal? And I know the issue of AIS that you referenced, but I'd like to know what the cost would be and how soon we could implement a user-friendly portal for the residents, the public, to be able to get information on who these bad actors are and what steps are being taken against them in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely, I would love to do that as well. I would love to have it even more expanded than that. I would love as a member of the public myself to find out when a building's in court, when the next court date is, when the next administrative hearing date is. So if I have an interest in that case, I can go in and be before the judge or be before the hearing officer and let them know that this is an important thing to me as a member of the community. You and I have discussed technology ad nauseum.
Sure.
I've been here for 24 years. I've been in constant discussion about technology, but I don't control our IT system. The law department doesn't control their IT system. We do need to work with AIS on this. We do need AIS to tell us what is needed, so then we can go to OBM and yourselves and say these are the resources we need.
So,
and
Chairman,
realistically, this is how long it was going to take. And I believe there is a representative of AIS on the call here. I think Eric Tenfeld is available for direct AIS questions.
Wonderful. Chairman, can we have AIS answer that question?
Yes. Is it Eric from AIS?
Yes, hello, greetings. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm happy to be invited and participating. I was invited by Carlton Nolan, the CTO, who was unable to make it on this call. So I'm very glad to be participating in these events when our department can hear about things before regulations are made. Then we can already think of what the technology options are, and we can start to look at it. We can think of the ways that we can use our systems. Some of our systems are built on platforms that are enterprise platforms that are used by other jurisdictions, other communities, other organizations. So what we try to do is to not do as much customization, but utilize the features and functions of the technology that's already there. So the more we can hear about things before ordinance and regulations are passed, the better that we can respond and do things that is cheaper and better within the systems that we use at enterprise level. So thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to hearing about what the ideas are. There's many different options for how we can make this data available. And then I can take this to our team and our department, and we can come up with estimates and release those to the committee.
So thank you.
Yeah.
That was a pretty long answer for a question that you didn't answer. So this has been something that has been discussed numerous times. The department's brought it up. I know I've brought it up. So I think this isn't about, finding ideas. This is how do we make it a reality? Because the idea is how do we make the troubled buildings list public and accessible and user-friendly? So I hope that this is not going to be some long drawn-out study to figure out this question, to the point of which our building commissioner said we've been trying to figure that out for decades. So I'm hopeful that at the very latest, that AIS would be able to report back either to the budget committee or this committee by rollout of this list, how to make this a publicly accessible piece of information. Chairman, I have one other question in that regard, and that goes to the law department. As someone who has followed cases against gang houses and bad landlords and all of them in every neighborhood I represent, oftentimes we see that the law department will blame the courts will blame somebody else, this, that, and the other. How are we going to ensure that those addresses, those troubled buildings that wind up on this list actually are a priority for the law department and don't just languish in continuances or lesser sentencing as they move forward? Because oftentimes my office or myself directly have had to get involved with the law department to push them to take action. And I don't think that is the goal of this list. And I don't think it's something that aldermen should have to do, particularly if we're now officially targeting troubled buildings in the city of Chicago.
All right, thanks, Raymond. Who from law would like to respond to that?
Good morning, Chairman Tony. Kim Roberts from the Law Department. I don't mind responding to that.
Kim, you've heard the question.
Thank you. And good morning, Alderman Lopez.
Good morning.
I am familiar with your concern. I've worked closely with your ward office, your chief of staff, and you as well. So I appreciate and understand that this is something that's passionate for you. And all I can tell you is that I have a team of attorneys dedicated to housing court here in the law department, and their passion is making communities better. And I'm disappointed to hear if you feel that that relationship is breaking down. I'd like to have a conversation with you outside of this process, but we are always open to ideas and feedback from the community leaders. We need you guys to push the judges in housing court. For those of you who've attended these hearings, and I know many of your faces here have, you see what we're up against with some of these judges. And if they don't live in the communities that they're hearing the cases, they don't understand the impact. So we really need the help from our community liaisons to stress how much these are nuisances. But we're committed to moving these cases forward. We understand that they've been identified as problematic and a nuisance for your community. So we want to expedite it. And if you have any issues or concerns moving forward, please highlight it and bring it to my attention directly, and I will rectify it.
Okay. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited that we're doing this. So I will be part of this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Raymond. And hopefully, as Commissioner Matt Baudet said, this will make it simpler to really concentrate on the worst of the worst buildings with this expedited manner with these problem buildings. Alderman David Moore.
Thank you.
David?
Yes, can you hear me, Chairman?
We can.
Thank you so much. This is to the commissioner along the lines that seem like great Inglewood minds think alike. I remember in the budget hearings, Commissioner, you were talking about enhancing the building and permitting an inspection system. I think it's called Hanson or something like that. I may be saying it wrong. Hello, are you there?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. We're on Hanson, what's called Hanson 7. I believe it's the oldest system in the city that we're on. The platform we're going to migrate is, I think, called IPS 11. So I'm skipping numbers 8, 9, 10, going to 11. But as I discussed in the budget and with your colleagues, I really have a bigger vision for IT. And that's, I want a system that not just is good for the building department, so that, if I do a permanent inspection, it talks to the 301 inspection and it cancels it, they're out. So I'm not getting all these audits that says I didn't do inspections when we did. But I really want to be able to discuss, have our system talk to the other systems. For instance, CDOT, and this is low hanging fruit. If I know where CDOT has dumpsters for buildings, they're likely doing a gut rehab. So I need to know, do they have a proper building permit to do that? And vice versa, if I have gut rehab permits, CDOT should be able to look at that and say, oh, is there a corresponding dumpster permit? Are they just taking this stuff and dumping it into people's garbage cans? Or are they fly dumping on vacant lots? So that's where the interconnectivity of our IT systems works for all the departments. And for your office to look at the same information. And then to do some predictive analytics and go even outside the city. Are they behind on property taxes? Are they behind on utility bills? These are all indicators that building is about ready to go into be trouble, to go into distress. Because if they're not paying their utilities, they're not paying their property taxes, they're not taking care of the inside. And that would allow us to get to those buildings quicker before they become a problem. And that's really my goal of IT, is to use it as a tool, not just simply as a reporting mechanism or, of electronic filing cabinet, but to use it as a tool to make sure that we get to places where we need to go and we get to them sooner rather than later.
So have we started the upgrading on this system?
There's been a start of the upgrade. Again, it's more of a like for like. So I'm replacing a 7 with an 11. I don't know the interoperability of it with the other departments. I'm sure at this point it doesn't talk outside the city. That's something that I think we need to work on. But again, I want an IT system that is a tool and not just simply a filing cabinet. And that's a long-term goal of mine. And I believe the other commissioners share that, and the mayor, and we just need to figure out, what is this going to cost? And
so I'm reading in between the lines there, and I'll address that in a minute because I'm hearing you keep repeating that. So something has started. What percentage of the build out is complete? Who can tell us that?
They can have Eric Tenfeld answer that. I know we've got some modules built out. Some are not in this upgrade, unfortunately. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's correct. And if, as much information as would be desired, we can release that information as part of our project schedule and our reporting. We have the configuration of the permitting processes built out at about over 90%. What we're working on now is working on the data migration, and that's the extract of the data from the source system, transforming it where we do work with Department of Buildings a little bit, and then loading it into our target system, which is IPS 11. IPS 11, which stands for Infor Public Sector 11, which is a best of breed tool for this type of space. Is also the standard within our enterprise. So we are integrated fully with CDOT. So once we can get Department of Buildings onto this platform, the integration potential is there to do lots of things. We just had a recent go live where we brought public way use permits or grant a privilege from Business Affairs and Consumer Protection into this environment. It's a major rollout, which includes over 200 types of public way permits that are now in this enterprise system. So we've been able to move some of our data migration resources from that project now onto this to accelerate the development of that effort. I could go on, but we have lots of information as the project's being managed well, and we're reporting on it, on the status of the project.
Okay, so you said the permitting is built out over 90%, but then you were saying a lot of other things are going on and have to be done. This will help me better as an accountant because I can usually follow operations this way. To date, what has been the contract spend for the build out? How much have you spent on this build out?
We've spent from a funded, the project was funded by the ITGB, the IT Governance Board, where over a 2-year period, which was for the calendar years 2019 and 2020, $2.9 million. And that money has been spent. And we also have operational support budget, which is what we use to manage the overall program. And we're funding the project through that right now, and it's on track to be completed within its $2.9 million budget by the end of this year.
Okay, so I'm lost because you talked about the IGB 2 years that's already spent 2.9. Then you talked about operator support budget, and you mentioned 2.9 again within the 2.9. So to me, the 2.9 has been spent already, but you also have an operational support budget outside of that 2.9. Am I correct? Was that correct to say? No.
No, the funded budget for the project was 2.9 million. And so the goal of my program is to release the software into production without asking for additional funding.
So what has been spent to date from 2019? I need to know what has been spent right now, because I was saying, what has been done for the upgrade? I heard 90% for the permitting process. And then you said some other things that sort of lost me, and I'll try to go back to those. But I said, what would help me if you tell me what have you spent so far? What have you spent so far of that $2.9 million as part of the upgrade?
Okay, just a simple answer, Eric. Of the 2.9, what has been spent to date? Eric?
What has been spent is 2.9 million.
But you're not asking for any additional resources at this time with the projects that you've already enumerated in front of our committee, whether it's CDOT and some of the other, because according to Matt, there's so much more we could be doing. And of course, that depends on how much money we want to spend on technology. But in order to not belabor the committee on this, I think as we get into this fall budget, I think Matt and Eric and AIS really need to put a plan together to augment what you've already done and to bring us into the 21st century. It sounds, I've been on the council for 18 years. The Hansen system not talking to other systems, that has been going on from the day I came into the council. Matt has already alluded to that effect. I think, especially because this is infrastructure and this is an ability to run departments more efficiently and to communicate, I think this is really important and a good year to figure out a plan about how to have, as Raymond Lopez says, the transparency for us as aldermen and also the public, whether it's the trouble building list or other, we need to be on top of our game. It's kind of embarrassing when systems don't talk to each other and the alderman is trying to connect the dots too, whether it's in court or whether it's just answering constituent questions. So I don't, if David Moore has to more talk about the scofflaw list, I think we could be here all day in regards to the budget questions. But I anticipate as chair of the zoning and building committee that we have a much more robust plan to discuss in the fall budget season to upgrade these systems and have them much more seamless and also transparent for our city.
Chairman, and I appreciate what you just said, but the reason why those questions were asked, because based on my knowledge and the things that I know and aware of, I asked one more question, but the whole thing is, if this system is not in place, this scofflaw ordinance is one I support, but it doesn't work. without the system being in place. And I think Matt can probably attest to that. So my last question is, does that 2.9 that you talked about, and I know you're going to get into other things as the Alderman Tunney talked about to present to us, just quickly, does that 2.9 that you've spent include inspections?
Yes, it does. The way we're managing the project at this point, we're migrating data in from the source system. As you know, a lot of the inspection work and the workflows happen to permit data and building data that's already in process. So as opposed to just making up a bunch of fictitious data within the system and then trying to run through the workflows of, we're doing this data migration task, the building inspection workflows have been built out, and we can get this into an integrated environment that Department of Buildings can use to help us with testing. Then our inspection workflows are going to accelerate. We're going to be able to mark those percentages as complete as much higher. So we are on schedule to deploy this year, and we are on schedule to deploy within the budget that we've set. Now we're using some of the support budget, which we have a steering committee, and so other departments that are utilizing the IPS 11 environment, which includes CDOT, Public Health, DCASE, and others, they are in an agreement that we're doing less support work and less enhancement work for them for this calendar year, so that we can utilize that support budget to complete the Department of Buildings project without asking for additional funding.
And how does that address scofflaw data? Because it don't sound like that it does.
I mean, for me, just, taking some data from a list and displaying on the web, that's something that can be done for, we're ready to do that without impacting the current project that we have of bringing Department of Buildings up to IPS 11.
Okay, so you've heard from, wait a second, David.
Questions.
David, we've heard from Ray Lopez and David Moore. These communities have been thoroughly impacted on the building department crises. So my suggestion would be is that individually, both with Alderman Lopez and Alderman David Moore, instill their confidence that while we're passing this ordinance, that they will be able to readily address these problem buildings in a transparent and quick manner in quick order. And, I know there's other elements. Most of us have been to building court on problem buildings, not to the extent that some of our, David and Raymond, but this is really important that we can pass all the ordinances we want, but we have to get a clear shot at these buildings in a transparent and efficient manner. And I know that's what Raymond and David are imploring while they support this ordinance. We've got to do a better job at addressing these problem buildings.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may too, one, I want to just go beyond just taking a list and putting it on a webpage. I think that misses the point to what you and your colleagues are saying, is we need to make sure that this list is effective and it works. So when BACP needs to cross-check to see if I'm on the list to issue me a license, they're not going to a static web page. When procurement's looking to see if I can get grant money for that building, they don't need to go to a static list to see if I'm on that list. BACP doesn't need to go to a static list again for vacation rentals, CDOT for alley vacations. And that's where the departments need to talk to it. We need this list to talk to all the various departments and not just simply be something that's on the DOB or DOL or some separate webpage.
All right. Committee members, any more questions?
Just a point of information.
Alderman David Moore on a point of information.
It was getting back to what the commissioner was saying. What I'm hearing here, and if you're listening to the commissioner closely, Chairman, he's saying, based on what AIS is doing, what I'm hearing is that he needs more. Even the commissioner of building is saying that. I'm hearing that. And so there's a disconnect. And if there's a disconnect between our commissioners and our departments, what do you think we're doing? And so I think our Commissioner Matt is trying to be politically nice because he's got to work within the administration. But I'm hearing him say, I just don't want a whole bunch of numbers. I need help. Get with this commissioner and get him what he needs. That's all I'm asking right now.
Right. We got it. We got it, David. All right. Alderman Riley.
Move to pass, Chairman.
All right. So hearing no further questions, Alderman Riley moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to Alderman Riley's motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. But I do want to conclude, as we started with you, Commissioner, we need a roadmap on improving our IT systems and our communications. It is a much bigger issue than trouble buildings and whatever we're doing legislatively. And I anticipate working with you and AIS to put something together for the fall budget season. Because I know, as you said, we're probably only halfway through on moving into, as I say, the 21st century. So thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to work with you on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
They're not getting you what you need, Commissioner. Let us know. Let me know.
Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate it.
All right. Moving on to the first item listed on the addendum, document number 02021-1217, a text amendment introduced by Mayor Lightfoot regarding the amendment of Municipal Code Section 17-7-0453, striking the prohibition of residential uses in the Kinsey Corridor Overlay District. We have Cindy Rubeck from the Department of Planning and Development to speak on this. Cindy, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Tunney. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is a very simple zoning ordinance revision for this.
Cindy, you're breaking up though. Your voice is breaking up though.
Oh.
That sounds better right there.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was just because I was changing the slide. This is a simple zoning or a change to the Kinsey Corridor Overlay District. The geography of the district is on this map shown here. And it really spans from Carroll to Hubbard.
Cindy, you gotta get closer to your mic.
Oh, okay.
Get close to your mic.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
It still isn't good, but it's better.
Oh, it's not great. I'll try to speak louder.
Cindy, you may want to turn off your video sometimes.
Maybe I will. If you guys don't mind, I will turn off my video. Maybe that will help. Can you hear me now?
Keep going, Cindy.
Okay. So in 2017, City Council passed the Kinsey Corridor Overlay District Ordinance, which replaced the area in red from PMD to its pre-PMD zoning designation. It also applied the industrial corridor system fee and allows downtown district designation and the applicability of the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. It also included a prohibition on new residential uses in this overlay geography. So this ordinance revision deletes the prohibition so that it can allow a mixed use environment to be created here in this geography. And this is based off of the recommendation from the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan update, which was adopted by Plan Commission at its February meeting on February 18th. And the recommendation here, the primary goal was to create a mixed use, mixed income area for Fulton Market. And so we wanted to make sure we passed this legislation to allow for that goal to be achieved. And this is within the Alderman Burnett's ward.
All right. So Cindy, there's clearly, we've worked on this before. What we're passing today, if the committee supports it, and we're going to hear from Alderman Burnett, is allowing residential use in the area that you marked in red.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So Alderman Burnett.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. First of all, I want to thank the Department of Planning and Cindy, who works very hard for all of their help. We had put a moratorium on residential in this area some years ago because we were concerned about it encroaching on industrial businesses and people complaining about the trucks and the blood and the smell and all of those things in this area. And we kept that in, and now this area has really transformed into a more residential and commercial area, and has become one of the most industrialist and most developed, potentially developed communities in the country. Right, it's so attractive, and it brings a lot of tax dollars to the city of Chicago, and brings a lot of new folks to the city of Chicago. We wanted to, after this pandemic, we wanted to also keep giving the city of Chicago a shot in the arm, keep development flowing in the city, keep tax dollars coming to the city, keep neighborhood opportunity funds going to the west and the south side. So we saw and hearing from all of the developers that choose to do development in this community, they were asking if they can do residential. Working in coordination with the Department of Planning, but also in coordination with the Housing Department.
Correct.
We chose to do that. And in the Housing Department, so you know, they're going to have to do 30% affordable housing in this area, but they would be able to make 10 times more money because this is one of the highest sales and highest rent areas in the city of Chicago. Matter of fact, probably in the United States right now. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. So I asked the committee for their support on this. This is not just about the 27th Ward. This is about the city of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Burnett. And obviously, it's exciting area that's happening here. It's amazing. It's a new downtown as far as I'm concerned. I don't see hands up, but I have one question though, Walter, and I thought we talked about it earlier. So this industrial area, have we been able to retain these businesses and be able to keep them in the city for practical purposes, Walter?
So man, I'm gonna tell you, most of the businesses that were there have became millionaires overnight. because
on the real estate appreciation. Yeah, I get that.
They became millionaires overnight on the real estate, and they have moved to areas further west, some in my ward, but also south in the 25th Ward, in the 12th Ward, in the 11th Ward. So they still are in the city, but not as richer as they move out of this community to another community. So they're able to keep their businesses going, but also, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they are able to advance their business as they have, and we are able to keep them in the city of Chicago.
Thank you, Chairman. Other questions for the department or the alderman? No? Can I get a motion to move due pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Raymond Lopez makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Here are no objections. The item is passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy, for your presentation and your hard work.
Thank you so much.
Plan. All right. Let's see. We are now moving on to document number 02021-1228, a text amendment introduced by Mayor Lightfoot regarding the amendment of Municipal Code Sections 17.2, 17.9, 17.17 regarding standards and setback requirements for accessory buildings in residential zones. Now, this is not a new item. This is what we call the ADU ordinance. There was some technical transcript problems, but we are not introducing anything new to the committee. Patrick, the reason why we're here today is because.
Yes, thank you, Alderman. Thank you, members of the committee. As the Alderman said, the reason we have this ordinance here today is when the ordinance was voted on prior to sending the last version to committee, there were some sections that were erroneously struck related to how coach houses can be established in rear setbacks, some setback dimensioning characteristics, as well as some cleanup text related to the establishment of the coach houses. So none of the text changes in this ordinance change any of the intent of the ordinance that you voted on earlier this year, and it doesn't change any of the objectives or anything related to the pilots. This simply allows zoning and buildings to process these applications with text that we erroneously struck out in our last version before the committee. It was simply a clerical error that we made, and we discovered it with buildings as we were reviewing and preparing for the May 1st rollout.
All right, questions for Patrick? All right, that's Alderman Beal. Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to get clarification. This is directly reflecting the pilot program in certain wards and not the entire city, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
Only the pilots.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, hearing no questions, can I get a motion moved to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Cardona, so moved.
Alderman Cardona makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing no objections, this item is passed. I see Alderman Rod Sawyer is on the. Roderick, are you there for roll call? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Now, we have another correction. And this is, trust me, I've been told by Nicole, this is no mistake by the zoning committee. So these are some department issues that we want to straight for the record. This item is on the second page of the addendum and a move on to direct introductions. This is the correction to ordinance 02020-6207, providing protection to the Pilsen neighborhood residents against economically driven displacement. All committee members should have received a copy of the ordinance and the packets in their packets on Friday. And Patrick Murphy, you're on the hot seat again on this one.
That's fine. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. So this again, when we had the presentation to the committee about both the 606 and the Pilsen ordinance, it was two separate ordinances. It was simply our error that we sent the incorrect ordinance to the clerk's office for publication. The previous version, the one that was erroneously published, left two major issues that we corrected in the approved version, plus was fully reflected in the testimony. The two errors were it excluded certain zoning districts that are prevalent within the boundary of the Pilsen overlay. And secondarily, by not having the language in the ordinance we're proposing today, we would, in some instances, we would not allow for residential development to take place, because if a single family home or two flat could not be established, but yet there wasn't the MLA ability, the net side area ability to establish a 3-unit, then in theory, no development could take place. The ordinance that we proposed and that you all voted on fixed that gap, but we incorrectly, we sent the incorrect ordinance to the clerk's office for publication. So though there is no change to any of the intent or any of the details that we described, and it is simply to correct an error when we process the paperwork with the clerk's office.
All right, Patrick, is this specific to the 25th ward, or does it include other wards?
No, it is only the 25th ward. It is only the boundary that we previously discussed, and it's only to the extent that we talked about at the original time.
All right. Before I know our committee member, Alderman Cicho Lopez, since this affects primarily your ward. Byron, are you been briefed on this and you are comfortable with this? Alderman Cicho Lopez. Byron? Maybe he got off. Patrick Murphy.
Yes, sir.
Have you talked to Alderman Cicho Lopez?
I have not. I will double check with IGA to make sure that they have. That was what we were going to do after the last briefing with you. I will double check and.
What? IGA has. Okay. We understand that IGA has talked to Cicho Lopez what I want to do,
He's okay.
that he is supportive of this. But, hold on a second.
In the meantime,
Okay, Alderman Beal.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we hold this until the end of the meeting while you get a hold of Alderman Cincho Lopez.
Yeah, I was just trying to do that because I know he was here for the roll call. I'm just going to see 1 second.
There's a point of order, Chairman. Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Raymond Lopez.
So when this was originally passed by committee, was it unanimously passed out of committee?
I don't have the verification of that, but I believe it was.
Okay.
I can't get in touch with him. I'm going to hold this and until we get in touch with him, and then we'll go back to it.
It is my understanding.
Yeah, but
Okay,
you know what?
we wanna hear from
We want to trust but verify. All right. So I'm going to hold this item and we're going to move on to, what's our next item?
The second, top of page. That's great.
Okay. All right. Next, we have a correction to ordinance SO 2020-4556, an ordinance regarding the property located at 1020 North Elston Avenue. Again, all committee members should have received a copy of the ordinance in their packets. Noah Safranek is here from DPD to speak on this correction. Noah.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. Yes, this is similar to what Patrick had said about the previous ordinance. We erroneously sent the wrong version down to the city clerk for publication. There were a couple errors in that version. So this, what was presented to Plan Commission, what was publicly noticed, contained a use statement that allowed for light equipment sales, rental, motor vehicle repair shop, and vehicle storage and towing. It's for the Lyft Driver Center at 1020 North Elston. They had intended to expand their operations to allow people who do not own vehicles to be able to lease and rent vehicles from Lyft directly and then have the opportunity to drive. So we corrected the version and sent that down to the clerk and to the committee with the proper change made to that use statement. While we were doing that, we noticed 3 minor typos that we fixed as well. There was a date missing from the base of the exhibits that was added. There were 4 loading berths that were approved at Plan Commission and passed on to committee. The statement said 2, so we corrected that. And then there was an error that said 16 statements instead of 17. We corrected that. So the final packet is in the possession of the committee and of the clerk's office. And Alderman Burnett has been briefed on this change as well as part of my discussions before coming here.
Thank you, Noah. Alderman Burnett, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. I'm in full support of these changes.
All right, questions for the department or the alderman? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Ray Lopez makes that motion. Anyone opposed to that motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Noah. All right.
Thank you.
We're moving on. We have one historical landmark designation, document number 02021-922, the landmark designation of the Miracle House in the 29th Ward for the property commonly known as 2001 North Nordica. We have Deanna Cavallo from the Department of Planning and Development here to present the matter. Deanna, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. I am just in the process of sharing my screen. If you can just bear with me for a second. I hope you can see this.
We can.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Tani and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Deanna Cavallo, I'm with the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to recommend to you on behalf of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks that the Miracle House shown here be designated as a Chicago landmark. Dr. David Shiner, he's the building owner, has requested this designation and consented. The commission found that the house represents aspects of Chicago heritage, for it was built as a grand prize for a raffle sponsored by the St. William Catholic Parish located a mile away. The name Miracle House first appeared on the raffle tickets, and it has stuck with the property. Proceeds from the raffle allowed St. William to build a modern parish complex. The commission also found that the futuristic design of the house, built in 1954, represents a unique work of modern residential architecture in Chicago. Finally, the commission concluded that the architects of the house, the firm of Belli & Belli, was a significant Chicago architectural firm during the mid-20th century. Examples of the firm's work in Chicago shown here show Belli & Belli's expressive modern aesthetic. The house stands at 2001 North Nordica in the Galewood neighborhood within the larger Austin community area in the 29th Ward, and Alderman Taliaferro supports the landmark designation. On behalf of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, I recommend passage of the ordinance designating the Miracle House as a Chicago landmark. Thank you.
Right. Questions for the department? Do I hear a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Oh, I'm sorry, Deanna, the alderman, are we?
The alderman supports the designation.
I'm sorry, I was on the phone with another alderman, which we'll get to next. So the alderman's support of it, no questions. Can I get a motion?
Pass, Chairman. Alderman Lopez.
Okay, Alderman Ray Lopez moves to pass by the last most roll call on the Committee on Zoning. Any opposed to that motion? Hearing none, the item's passed. All right.
Thank you.
We want to go back because we just heard from Alderman Cicho Lopez for the committee members. This is, let me read it back into it. What's our item? Okay, so this was the Pilsen Ordinance 020206207, providing protection to Pilsen neighborhood residents against economically driven displacement. So we have heard from Alderman Cicho Lopez that he is in support of this correction. And with that.
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Beal, well, wait a second. Before that, Raymond, you have a question on that?
Yes, Chairman. I know there were a number of items that were not necessarily unanimous. I just want to confirm that this was in fact a unanimous and that that members who may have had issues with the ordinance previously are not being put on record as supporting it now because of the typo.
Alderman Lopez. All right, we're going to have to check on that, Alderman Lopez. We don't want people in the crosshairs over a vote there, but we think it is unanimous.
I just want to make sure we're all consistent.
Right, I get it, Raymond. Alderman Cicho Lopez, are you on the call?
Yes, sir. No, sorry, I had issues with the audio, but yeah, I'm in support of the corrections. I'm in support of the corrections.
Alderman, there was a question by Alderman Ray Lopez about, do you recall, it's not in the Rule 45 report because it was a previous meeting. Did you know that it was it passed unanimously, or do we have objectors to that?
I believe it was the vast majority of council members, but I'm not sure. I think there might have been some maybe some voting, but it was the vast majority.
You're not certain. Okay. All right. So why don't we do this? You want to take a roll call on it?
Chairman, can we, if you don't mind, I hate to do this to our colleague, but can you just hold this so we can figure out in this meeting what the vote was last time? I just want to be sure.
Okay.
Chairman, I think if people, if we can take a roll call now, I don't see why we have to hold. This is it is a technical, it was an issue on a technical matter. I don't think that we should hold for a technical correction.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Alderman Burnett.
Yeah, just can you repeat the situation again, please?
Well, the question is, we passed this ordinance a couple of months ago, and there were technical corrections to the ordinances, which is what we are voting on today. So Alderman Ray Lopez, didn't want, they wanted to make sure that this was passed with unanimous, there were no objectors to it. Because if we voted opposed to it before, and now we're voting it in the affirmative today, Alderman didn't want to be consistent with their votes. That's the nature of the issue at hand right now.
So what was the basis of the ordinance? What was it? It was for a property?
No, it's the Pilsen District
Oh,
in the 25th Ward. And we spent a lot of time and we have the support of Cicho Lopez on it. And again, it was passed a couple of months ago, and there were technical difficulties with the actual narrative, and that's what we heard from Noah Safranek. Or Patrick?
Chairman?
Is it Patrick or?
Sorry, forgive me,
Who's
Chairman. It's Raymond Lopez. I found the record of the vote for the final action. So I know I will at least be able to be consistent with my vote. So I'm ready to proceed on the matter. If no one else has concerns.
Okay, so Alderman Lopez withdraws that delay, I should say. So can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to establish quorum on the Pilsen?
So moved.
Please
Alderman
record me as
Hopkins.
voting no.
Okay, Alderman Hopkins makes the motion. We have Alderman Lopez in opposition. We'll record that. Any others in opposition? Otherwise, it'll pass with the note that Alderman Ray Lopez was a no.
Hopkins, Lopez, and Campbellman were no's.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right. So back to our record. A couple of months ago, we had the Pilsen ordinance in front of us. And at that time, Alderman Ray Lopez, Alderman Kappelman, and Alderman Hopkins were no on that. So for the record, I need a motion to move to pass on this ordinance, reflecting the fact that those three aldermen are voting no, just to be consistent with their vote a couple of months ago. Make sense?
So
That's moved by Alderman Cardona, makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum, again, with the no votes, Ray Lopez, James Kappelman, and Brian Hopkins. With all that, any other
This is
comments?
Alderman Kappelman.
Yes, Alderman Kappelman.
I'll support. This has already gone through city council. This is a minor
Okay.
change. So I will
All right.
support my
That'll be
colleague.
reflected in the record. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
So hearing no other objections, this item is passed with the roll call that was used to establish quorum, other than the fact that Lopez and Hopkins are no. Thank you very much. All right. All right.
Okay, we are.
Middle of page 9.
Okay, just you have that.
Let's see, we have 3 landmark fee waivers, which we'll hear all together. I'll read them. I'll read the ward followed by the address and take a motion at the end. In the first ward, 1913 North Humboldt Boulevard. Is that one?
That's what it is. That's what I
Okay.
was going.
In the second ward, 26 West Chestnut Street. Lastly, in the 43rd ward, 560 West Fullerton Parkway. If there are no objections by committee members, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Raboyes moves to pass. Any objections to the motion? These orders are. Thank you. All right, moving on, we have, let's see, top of page 10. We have one demolition of a non-contributing building in a historic landmark district. Document number OR 2021-51 in the 27th ward, located at 1020 West Randolph Street in the Fulton Randolph Market Landmark District. Any questions? Alderman Burnett, are you aware of this one?
so can you repeat?
Alderman Burnett, this is the 1020 West Randolph demolition of a non-contributing building. in your ward. You good with it?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right. So any questions by committee members? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the order is passed. Now we have large signs over 100 square feet in area, 24 feet above grade. We'll hear them all together. I will read the ward followed by the address and take a motion at the end. In the 43rd Ward, 2730 North Halsted. In the 31st Ward, 4000 West Diversey Avenue. Two signs in the 27th Ward at 805 West Randolph. In the 25th Ward, 2105 South Jefferson. Three signs in the 25th Ward at 404 West Harrison Street. In the 18th Ward, 8500 South Pulaski Road. In the 12th Ward, 1300 West 35th Street. And lastly, in the 4th Ward at 714 South Wabash Avenue. If there are no questions by committee members, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Austin.
Alderman Austin makes that motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the orders are passed. All right, now we'll move on to the regular agenda. In an effort to minimize technical difficulties and to ensure the committee meeting runs as smoothly as possible, the typical order in which items will be heard has been updated. Throughout the duration of the virtual Committee on Zoning meetings, items will be grouped together according to witness attorney and will be heard in that order rather than in the ward order. I'm over here. All right. So now on the revised agenda, page 1. A8618, 16th Ward, ordinance was referred on February 26th of 21. The common address is 1058 West 59th Street, and the change request, a B31 Community Shopping District to C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. Do we have Alderman Coleman on the line on this?
Yes, Chairman, could you hold this item? There has to be, there's a resolution that needs to be resolved with DPD with a resident on that. So I'm going to ask if we can hold that,
All right,
please.
can I get a motion from a committee member to hold on this item?
So moved, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Austin.
Here, Alderman Austin moves on. We'll hold that to, we'll wait action from you, Alderman Coleman, on when we're going to hear this.
Thank you.
So the motion by Carrie Austin to hold this by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing none, this item will be held. All right. Next item, A8619, 16th Ward. Holding Alderman Coleman until we hear from you otherwise.
All items. Yes, Chairman.
Okay, so all items, that is, and I'll read them in. We're going to hold them, and we're going to hold them until resolution with the alderman and the department. It could be today.
It could be today.
It's not going to be unless the alderman is okay with it. All right. All right. So let me read them into the record because there are 4 of them, all in the 16th Ward. We talked about the one at 1058 West 59th Street. Now I'm going to move on to document number A8619, 16th Ward. Common address is 1114 West 59th Street. The change request was an RS3 residential single unit detached house to a C11 neighborhood commercial district. And I will read them all in and take a motion to hold at the end. Next item, A8620, 16th Ward, common address 5800 South Ada Street. Change request M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. And lastly, in the 16th Ward, document number 8622, Common address is 5822 South Halsted. Change request, M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to a C11 Neighborhood Commercial District.
No motion, just holding.
And we will just hold these without motion. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
we'll take a motion at the end of the meeting if we're
Okay.
gonna defer them.
All right, Alderman Coleman, we'll take a motion at the end of the meeting
If no
on all
resolution
four
is
of them, okay?
reached.
So
Thank you, Chairman.
bear with us and we will continue on with the agenda.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Page 2, document number 20639 T1. In the 50th Ward, ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Let's see, the common address is 3100 through 3110 West Peterson Avenue, 6001 through 6013 North Lincoln Avenue, and 6000 through 6028 North Albany Avenue. Let's see, the change request is an RS3 residential single unit detached house district and B32 community shopping district, all to a B32 community shopping district. And we have Barry Ash on the line on this one.
Yes, good morning. For the record, my name is Barry Ash. I'm an attorney representing Culve LP LLC, which has an interest in this property. I also, because they're entering into a long-term lease with the owner of the property, which is Chicago Title Land Trust, as successor trustee under trust number 4675 dated 2/10/41. A written authorization was provided by the owner to allow me to represent Culve LP LLC to testify in this matter. The request is to rezone the subject property from the RS3 and B3-2 districts to the B3-2 district. The rezoning of the subject property will allow the vacant property. It is improved with a strip mall, but there is a chunk of property which is vacant. And the rezoning will allow the vacant property to be developed with a Culver's restaurant. The restaurant shall provide seating within the facility along with a drive-through and a patio. In addition, if this property is to be rezoned by the committee, the owner will have to appear before the Zoning Board of Appeals with an application to apply for a special use for a drive-through. I do have the planner for the developer present along with the applicant who could answer questions. I do believe that the proposed development is compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of uses, density, and building scale. The use of the subject property is a commercial use, and we are just now bringing the residential portion of the property to commercial use. There is commercial use directly to the east of the subject property, and there is commercial uses along Lincoln Avenue and Peterson Avenue. As it relates to the residential use, the applicant is going to be very sensitive to the residential. There is going to be a there's going to be a fence to be constructed, board-on-board 6-foot fence constructed on the property, and there's also going to be extensive landscaping along the border to shield the residential from the commercial use being proposed for the property.
All right, Barry, my understanding is we have a substitute on this, type 1?
Yes, I'm sorry, it is a type 1 rezoning.
Okay, well,
Move to accept the
type 1,
substitute.
but there's also a substitute to the type 1.
That I'm not aware of when you say substitute.
Correct. It's a type 1, and you had some minor changes to your plan. And you submitted the substitute narrative.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there were some minor
Okay.
revisions made at the request of the planning department.
So procedurally, Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that?
No move.
All right, so the substitute is in front of us, and now you've made your presentation. Do you have a letter of support from Alderwoman Silverstein?
Yes, we do. I believe I did speak with the alderman, and she said she was going to be making contact directly to the Committee on Zoning in support of our application.
All right, well, we did get support from Alderman Silverstein's office, so I just, for the record, she's not on the committee or available, but I just want to make sure that for the committee members that this is met with her support. All right. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Chairman.
That was Alderman Raboyes made the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing no objections, the item is passed with a substantive narrative and with a substitute narrative and plans. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Bottom of page 2, document number 20653, 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address is 4157 North Lincoln Avenue. And the change request, a B12 neighborhood shopping district to a C12 neighborhood commercial district. Sarah Barnes. Sarah?
Yeah. Good morning or almost afternoon, Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the committee. And to Nicole, welcome back and congratulations. We're happy to have you back. I'm going to go super quick, as quickly as possible. I'm happy to be here today on behalf of the applicants, Gary Kinsler and Judy Kinsler, excuse me. Gary and Judy took over control of the subject property about 12 years ago. The property, this zoning change is associated solely to a non-conforming use. The property for the last 40 years has been operating as an auto repair facility, commonly known as the Auto House. It's kind of a pillar of commercial activity there in the Lincoln Square neighborhood. Towards that end, as I said, Mr. Kinsler and his wife took over the operations about 12 years ago. The existing building is comprised of a one-story principal building and a detached garage. Due to the lovely winters that we get to experience, including today, here in Chicago, Mr. Kinsler and his wife would like to just connect the principal building to the detached garage so that they can operate and function more efficiently during the colder months and inclement weather. In order to do that, however, it is considered, since the use, the auto repair facility is non-conforming under the current B zoning ordinance, we do need to bring the use into compliance. Otherwise, it would be considered expanding a non-conforming use. So we are here today requesting actually just a temporary zoning change. We met with Alderman Martin as well as the North Center Neighborhood Association and the Zoning Advisory Committee for the 47th Ward. And because the underlying zoning to which we need to go for this use is a higher intensity commercial use category, in order to prevent future owners from taking advantage of that classification, this is otherwise kind of a more mixed use area. We are going to downzone the property back to the current B12 zoning classification once Mr. Kinsler is able to secure all of the necessary permits, license, and certifications required for the build out. The operations are not expanding or changing in any way, nor is the physicality of the building otherwise being expanded besides the small connection. So with that, again, we met with all the various community representatives. We have their support. We also have a letter of support from Alderman Martin that I believe was tendered to your office, Mr. Chairman, this week. And so we respectfully request the support of this honorable committee. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. I think Alderman Martin's on the call. Alderman Martin.
I am. Thank you, Chairman. And I'll just say briefly, I support this. Gary and his business have been a tremendous asset to our community for a number of decades now.
And that there is a restrictive covenant, at least our records show that. Is that to rezone it back to the B12?
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And to otherwise limit the improvements that are associated with this application.
All right, questions by committee members?
Move to pass, Chairman.
All right,
Alderman
that
Lopez.
is, okay, so Alderman Ray Lopez makes a motion to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Now, while I have, Sarah, I'm going to take a break for a second. Alderman Martin would really, he's got to move on and he wants to move, we're going to move to Nick Fatikas and then I'll come back to you. Oh, look at that. Look at that shift. All right, so let me read in the record. Item number 20647, T1, 47th Ward, ordinance was referred on March 24th of 21. Common address is 3817 through 3819 North Ashland Avenue. Change request, B32 Community Shopping District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. All right, Nick Fatikas.
Thank you very much, Alderman Tunney. Again, Nick Fatikas from the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of 3817 North Ashland LLC, the contract purchaser of the subject property at 3817 through 3819 North Ashland Avenue. The subject property is a 14,139 square foot lot that's currently improved with a one-story restaurant building and off-street parking area. My client is proposing to purchase the property and redevelop it with a new 48-unit residential building. The program calls for 22 off-street parking spaces. We would, as part of our type 1 application, we are asking for a transit-oriented development parking reduction to that proposed, again, 22 parking space total. We've worked with Alderman Martin and his office for probably the last 6 to 7 months on this program. We had a series of community meetings, both with the 47th Ward Advisory Group, as well as a number of open meetings with community members at large. And we believe we have the Alderman's support to proceed today. I'm happy to answer any other questions you or the committee members might have about the program.
Right. So Nick, you mentioned 6 months of dialogue, but I think there's a substitute on this.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Alderman Tunney, we are asking a substitute plan set and narrative that were submitted to the committee within the last few days.
All right. So we'll first start with the Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Okay, so now the substitute is in front of us. You've talked about the description of it. We're going to hear from Alderman Martin.
Thank you, Chairman. I do support this proposal. I very much appreciated working with the applicant over the last number of months. I've appreciated in particular their willingness to consider community feedback around the need for more family-sized units. So we actually have 13 2-bedrooms and 4 3-bedrooms in here. The 3 bedrooms in particular were put in based on feedback that we received from the community, which we as an office appreciate. They also agreed to double the number of on-site affordable units from 5 to 10, and will also separately agreed to partner with the Chicago Low Income Housing Trust Fund to apply for funding to ensure that those 5 additional affordable units would be accessible to residents earning under 30% of area median income. So we're very much appreciative of their willingness to work with us in the community on those pieces. And I would appreciate the committee's favorable consideration of this proposal.
All right, questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Well, I want to commend Alderman Martin because as a neighbor, I know you put a lot of work into this project, and your leadership on affordability on this project is pretty awesome. So with that being said, I get a motion to move.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so Alderman Raboyes makes the motion to move to pass on the substitute ordinance by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. All right. Congratulations. All right, now we're going to let me just see. We are. Top of page 3, item number 20654, 29th Ward, ordinance was referred on March 24th, 21. Common address is 2222 through 2224 North Nordica Avenue. Change request, RS1 residential single unit detached house district to an RS3 residential single unit detached house district. Sarah Barnes.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chairman.
You gotta unmute, Sarah.
Sorry, I think I'm just not talking loud enough. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Good afternoon once again, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Once more, for the record, my name is Sarah Barnes and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the applicant, Joseph Biancalana, and his wife, who have owned the 2 subject properties for many years. In an effort to improve the subject properties, which have remained vacant for quite a while, we are seeking a zoning change from the underlying RS1 to an RS3, and that's in order to construct a new 2-story single-family residence with a detached garage on each of the 2 parcels. This will allow for a more moderately sized single-family home instead of a larger home, given some of the price constraints in the market and with property taxes right now. So we have met with Alderman Talafiero regarding this proposal as well. The Alderman has reached out to several of the residents in the neighborhood. I too and Mr. Biancalana have spoken with the residents and the neighbors on that block regarding the proposal. And that includes a beautiful church that is also on the block. And we are not aware of any objections. And towards that end, Alderman Talafiero has provided a letter of support, which I believe, again, Mr. Chairman, has been tendered to your office. And with that, we too respectfully request the support of this honorable committee, and I am happy to answer any questions.
All right, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Talafiero. And any questions for the applicant? And
No questions. So moved by Alderman David Moore.
so that was David Moore. Moves do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Sarah, this is pretty close to the landmark building? Is it correct that we just passed?
Yeah.
It's about a block away from that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. We're now going to move to the bottom of page 3, document number 20630 in the 27th Ward. The ordinance was referred on February 24th of 21. Common address is 140 North Ashland Avenue. Change request, RM5 residential multi-unit district to a B35 community shopping district, and then to a residential business plan development.
Sarah Barnes. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the committee for one last time today. I am Sarah Barnes and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm happy to be here this afternoon on behalf of the applicant, MP 140 Ashland LLC, that commonly does business as the Marquette Companies. The managing member of Marquette is Darren Sloninger. We've appeared before this esteemed committee on actually 3 different occasions within the last 18 months. Darren, Mr. Sloninger, actually, Chairman, before I continue with the actual presentation, I should note 2 housekeeping matters. One, prior to the filing of this application, but before today's hearing, we did have to amend the ordinance to include a portion of the boundary site that was added during DPD review. So as such, I do ask that the record please include and incorporate a substitute ordinance, which was provided to the Department of Planning and Development prior to today's hearing.
All right, so Anna, before we've got 2 items. One is to pass the records from the Plan Commission, but also the item about the boundaries that Sarah brings up to our attention. Anna Robles. Anna?
Yes, Anna Robles here at the Department of Planning and Development. And at the review of planning, requested a substitute ordinance to correct boundary descriptions.
Okay, so what we'll do is Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substitute by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum.
So moved.
Any objections? All right, so the substitute is been accepted, and now I'm going to ask Alderman Raboyes to move to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. All right. Any objections to those two motions? Hearing none, the substitute and the amended and the Plan Commission records are incorporated. So continue on, Sarah.
As you noted, we did appear before the Chicago Plan Commission last Thursday, April 15th, wherein we did receive a recommendation for approval of this project. As I was stating earlier, Mr. Sloninger, who is the president and CIO of Marquette Companies, came upon this west end, this kind of deserted west end of the West Loop several years ago, and with a desire to and a vision to reactivate and revitalize this portion of the West Loop. He acquired the subject site along with 3 other neighboring sites with a development program that would also bring some more residents and life to the new Lake Street and Ashland Street CTA station. So that all started again a few years ago with his first project, the Mason on Lake and Ada, wherein we continued with 1400 West Randolph Street and 1436 West Randolph Street with this same committee about last fall, actually earlier last fall. And today we bring you the 4th and final project from Marquette Companies, which calls for the rehabilitation and expansion of the subject property, which is currently improved with a beautiful 5-story old historic building that once operated as a hospital and a 2-story addition that was added in the 1970s. The property has been operated for the past several years as a women's treatment facility. They are actually going to be relocating, but they will continue to provide services for all of their patients. So with that, the programming calls for the preservation and renovation of the existing 5-story building. The 2-story portion, again, that was built a little later, will actually be raised to allow for a new 13-story mixed-use tower that will contain retail and residential amenity space on the 1st floor, as well as parking. And then above that on the floors 2 through 13, there will be a total of 210 dwelling units. We're very happy to include in those 210 units 32 affordable units that will be provided on site. Towards that end, we've worked on all of these projects. We've gotten the opportunity to work with Alderman Burnett, who has been instrumental in not only facilitating robust community involvement and community dialogue regarding the projects, but also in the affordable programming for all of these projects. So actually to date, with the inclusion of this project, Marquette Companies between the 4 projects will have contributed over 163 affordable dwelling units to this neighborhood. With that, we have the support we held a community meeting, a public community meeting. We also worked very closely with the Hermitage Manor Homeowners Association. It's a cooperative community that's just behind our site. We've had the opportunity to meet with them several times and to continue working with them throughout this process, and we're super excited to be delivering this project to that part of the community. And with that, Alderman Burnett's support is a part of the Plan Commission record, but I believe he's still on the call here today and may wish to speak.
All right, Sarah, we're going to hear from Alderman Burnett. My staff's informed me we don't have designs and plans on this one.
I thought you did. I thought you had the presentation package. I have it. I don't know if I'm allowed to share my screen though.
Can you do that? Hold on. I can't. No, she can email. She can email. Let's hear from Alderman. It's a handsome project. That's why I wanted to.
It is. And I thought again that you had the presentation package.
Sarah, you've been made a co-host if you want to share your screen.
So, and Alderman Burnett, I'm sorry for taking the microphone back for a moment. Not as good at going through this as the architect was. So in red, you see the subject site. It's also, we have the benefit of being on Union Park, which is a great backdrop for the project. And we've also worked closely with the Chicago Parks District towards certain improvements to Union Park as part of this project and the other projects. You'll see it's very close proximity to the CTA. As we were indicating, this is truly a transit served location and a transit oriented development with the intention that the retail uses will go towards accessory and benefits to the transit served to the people riding the train. So we'll have a cafe, we'll have some cooperative workspace within the building where people who are commuting can come in, grab a coffee, jump on their laptop, maybe do some meetings.
Yeah, let's scroll down so we can see the finished product.
Yep. So I just want to give, so that's the existing building that we'll be preserving. And we're going to be carrying a lot of the architectural elements, in particular, this beautiful accent throughout the new building as well. This will be demolished. So you can see this is the building that's going to be preserved.
So the building demolished is a 1-story or 1 to 3-story building built in the 70s.
Yeah, it's this
That's a large frontage though.
It is quite large, yep. And so as a result, we actually we had ongoing meetings with the Department of Planning once a week, every week for the past several months, focused only on design, because we really wanted to make this a beautiful contribution to this part of the neighborhood. And here we go.
Okay.
So this will be the new building. As rendered, it's a little more beautiful, but so you'll see this actually will connect. There will be cohesion between the two buildings internally. So there will be dwelling units provided on and between both of the buildings. This area up here is intended for amenity space. There's a large terrace along this second floor to, again, accommodate for amenity space and to give a more open feel. This will all be activated retail and cooperative space.
Right.
Otherwise activating the site.
And stay there for a second. You're right by the train.
We are literally, you walk out our front door and into the train. So we're working with the Department of Transportation towards providing some other of the newer technologies within the building. They actually, Marquette Companies does that in their other buildings for some of the riders on the CTA. And we're excited because we were able to reduce the parking. The other buildings that are also located near the CTA, we were able to maximize efficiencies within just a couple months. And again, it's a perfect location for these affordable units as well.
All right, can we hear from Alderman Burnett now?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our community is very encouraged by this development. This is one of the largest developments that has come outside of the public housing developments that has come to west of Ashland in many years. This area is an area that that has a lot of affordable and low-income housing in the area. So to get some diversity of market rate in the community is great. Although the market rate that we do have in this area is getting very expensive. But I appreciate the developer working with us with the affordable housing. He's going to do some on-site and he's going to do some off-site in this community. We're very pleased that he's keeping the existing building, although it's not a landmark building, from what I understand, and he don't have to keep it. Matter of fact, he could have just torn that building down and made the building larger or gotten more apartments, but he chose to contribute some existing identity to the community. He's worked very well with the cooperative in back of him, which is Hermitage Manor, which is one of the first cooperatives in the city of Chicago. They're very excited about it. We had a community meeting. No one had any objections for this development. Everyone was in support of it. I actually live in this community. I'm a deacon at the church right a block away from here. And I live less than 2 blocks away from here. So we all support this and we welcome it to the neighborhood. Just want everybody to know this is going to be the second West Loop. You all need to come over here and do some development, man. This is where it's happening at west of Ashland. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And if I had Sunday service, I'd be with you on Sunday.
Okay.
But you know what, Sarah, I mean, I know that I've been on Plan Commission and this design, obviously we've had there's a better picture of this design and how it integrates into the historic building corner. Yeah. But
this was the final for publication. So,
all right, no problem. All right. So questions for the Alderman or the applicant?
Move to pass, Chairman. Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Raymond Lopez moves do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. And he's passing this item, we're passing this item as revised and amended.
Yes.
Any objections? All right, hearing none, the item is passed. Congratulations, Sarah, and to the Alderman, the item is passed as revised and amended. All right, middle of page 4. We are on document number 20661 T1, 46th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address 4447 through 4459 North Hazel Street, 853 through 857 West Sunnyside Avenue. Change request, RM5 residential multi-unit district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. Katrina McGuire. And we do have slides, right, Katrina, on this one?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Katrina McGuire from Thompson Coburn here on behalf of the applicant. With me today are Jean Dufresne from Space Architects and Planners, the project architect, as well as Poreg Connolly of Longford Construction, the applicant, who are available for questions. We are proposing the construction of 32 units and 16 parking spaces. 3 of the units are ARO units and will be provided on site. We met with Uptown United as well as Clarendon Park neighbors and enjoy the support of both groups. This site is also within the Chicago Lakefront Protection District boundaries, and so we will be making a trip to the Plan Commission next on this, and it will be reviewed by Plan Commission as well. With that, we're available for questions. I believe Alderman Kappelman is still online, and we do enjoy his support as well.
Alderman Kappelman.
Thank you, Chairman Tunney. As Katrina McGuire said, it has the full support of both the Uptown United and the local block club, Clarendon Park Neighbors Association. And it was a great feedback and going back and forth or suggestions for changes. The developer accommodated those suggestions. So I asked the committee to also support this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions for the Alderman or the applicant? One question from me, Katrina. Isn't it usually going to Plan Commission first, even though it's a landmark, lakefront protection?
No, it goes to Plan Commission last when it's purely lakefront protection. They'll have us do all of our other preliminary matters first.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved. Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're bottom of page 4. Document number 20652, 40th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address 2533 through 2537 West Peterson Avenue. Change request B32 Community Shopping District to C12 Neighborhood Commercial District. Tim Barton is the attorney on this. Tim? What do we got? Tim,
There I am.
All right, Tim, I hear you now.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, I am Tim Barton of the Office of Thomas Raines, attorney. I'm here today representing Patrick and Silva McDermott, the owners for the last 10 years of the Black Sheep Tavern at 2533-37 West Peterson. The parcel is improved with a one-story building. Mr. and Mrs. McDermott are seeking to rezone the property from B32 Community Shopping District to C12 Neighborhood Commercial District in order to permit a currently non-conforming tavern with an outdoor patio in the rear of the property. The expansion would include the installation of a shipping container that will be adaptively reused to serve for additional serving and seating. Alderman Vasquez held a community meeting on this by Zoom in February. And based on the outcome of that meeting, he has sent a letter to this committee stating he has no objection to that change. And I believe you have a copy of that letter.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman Vasquez.
Thank you. I respectfully ask you and the committee to recommend passage of this.
All right. Questions from committee members? A quick question. Tell me about this. I understand the outdoor patio, but what's with the freight car? What's going on with that?
That's
not going to be allowed in the outdoor patio area, or is that, what is that in terms of
it's
in terms of the zoning? So to
it's
speak.
an accessory structure. It's really it's a roughly 8 by 40 facility. It'll be open air, at least on the one portion. So it's just meant purely for serving and for people sitting at this outdoor beer garden.
And our city's department has no problem with that, correct?
That's right.
Okay, Alderman Raymond Lopez.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to ask, is that like one of those drop box type things with no utilities or water connections, or is it going to have those as well?
I believe there will be water, but all of this is going to be permitted. It's
Singular
gonna
main?
go through the regular building department process.
Okay, I'm just curious because I know that's been an issue with some of the other like tiny homes and things of that nature, how to do the utility hookup. So I was just curious. And thank you, Chairman, for making me chuckle about the freight train and not saying Thomas the Tank Engine or any of those other things. Those are really great additions to our neighborhoods. Thank you.
All righty. Thanks, Raymond. Any other questions? Can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman.
That's by Chairman Dow makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Moving on to the top of page 5. Document number 20640 in the 40th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address 5040 Northwestern Avenue, and the change request B32 Community Shopping District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Tom Moore is on this one. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Thomas S. Moore, and I'm before you today on behalf of the applicant who seeks has taken a older building that had lots of problems on a short lot and has gone through the 40th Ward process and has a letter of support from Alderman Vasquez to build this 4-unit residence. And we have their support, and we respectfully request your support as well.
All right, we have a letter of support from Alderman Vasquez. Any questions from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Raboyes makes a motion do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing no objections, the item is passed.
Thank you very much.
All right, middle of page 5, document number 20662 T1, 39th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address is 4865 North Elston Avenue. The change request C11 Neighborhood Commercial District to C13 Neighborhood Commercial District. Paul Kolpak on the case. Paul?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, Paul Kolpak is not on the call currently.
All righty, then we're gonna have to skip this one. We'll hold this one. And the next one. Let me see. Oh.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
That sounds like Paul to me.
Can you hear me?
Is it? Yes, could you identify yourself?
Sure, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
My name is Paul Kolpak, office at 6767 North Milwaukee Avenue in Niles, Illinois. I'm here today representing the applicant Arime Deach. Proposed change request is from C1-1 Neighborhood Commercial District to that of the C1-3 Neighborhood Commercial District. The property in question is a 1-story commercial building which will be demolished. The lot is a rectangle of about 3,750 square feet. Should the zoning be passed, the proposed use will be to construct a new 3-story building with approximately 965 feet of commercial space on the first floor. There are to be 4 dwelling units with 4 parking spaces. The building height will be approximately 36 feet. We have met with the North Mayfair Improvement Association, as well as the Pulaski Elston Business Association, and we have gained their support. And I believe there is a letter of support from Alderwoman Nugent in your file.
All right. Before we do have a letter of support from Alderman Nugent, but you might need to tilt your camera so we can see more than the top of your hairline.
Okay, there we go. I don't think you really want to see the top anything more.
All right. Questions from committee members on this item or the applicant? As I said, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Nugent. Can I get a motion moved to pass by the same roll call was used to determine quorum?
So moved.
Alderman Hopkins moves.
That is Alderman Maria Hadden moves to pass by the same roll call. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item's passed. All right, Paul, we're just going to stick with you on item number 20644 T1 in the 29th Ward. The ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. The common address is 2001 North Harlem Avenue and 7176 through 7178 West Armitage Avenue. Change request, M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District and RS2 Residential Single Unit Detached House District, all to a B31 Community Shopping District. Paul?
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Paul Kolpak. I represent the applicant Jeff Cat LLC. As a matter of housekeeping, we did submit a substitute ordinance and substitute plans, which I would ask that be incorporated into this proceeding.
All right. So Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are in front of us. Continue, Paul.
As we mentioned, Alderman, the present zoning is M-1 split zoning lot and RS2. The proposal is to a B3-1. The intention is to have a Starbucks at this site. We understand that should the zoning be approved, that we will be going forward to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special use for a drive-through. The proposal is to have the Starbucks. There will be approximately 24 parking spaces on site. The retail area will be approximately 2,205 square feet. The lot in question is 19,917 feet. And as I mentioned, there will be a drive-through facility requiring a special use at the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have met with Alderman Talafaro, and I believe you have a letter of support from his office.
Yes, Paul, we have received a support letter from Alderman Talafiaro.
I have no further questions. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, questions for the applicants?
Move to pass as substituted.
All right, so that's Alderman Ray Lopez moves to pass as substituted by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Again, pass with the substantive narrative and plans. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed, again, with the substantive narrative and plans.
Thank you again, everyone. Be well, be safe.
Yeah, Paul, before we get on to this,
Yeah.
obviously Starbucks is doing mostly, my understanding, drive-throughs as part of their future. And with CDOT and the aldermen and such, does CDOT, not just the Department of Planning, get involved with the traffic flows? And I don't know how close they are to major intersections, but I know this is imperative from what I'm reading about with a lot of restaurants, chains, whether it be Popeyes and there a lot of them are saying, hey, we need drive-throughs, otherwise we're not gonna come to various neighborhoods. Have you found that out at all?
Absolutely, Alderman. We've had a number of meetings because I also represent another Starbucks in another ward. And we're trying to work with the Department of Planning because their position is they want to open up stores. They want people to get in and out, get their coffee. In fact, they're trying to come up with different designs so that the younger people, and I take that because I don't know how to do it, if the drive-through is backed up, that you can get on your app and then you can pull in and they'll bring the coffee out to you. You can do a walk-up window they want people to go through. And I know Starbucks for absolutely wants to open a number of more stores. And we need to work directly with the Department of Planning to be able to come to some type of a compromise for site plan.
Right. No.
Yeah.
I know, I mean, I just know from within the industry and also just, watching how it's progressing, especially with COVID, is that they're looking for more and more drive-throughs. And it's not just Starbucks. So
No.
this is more of a planning and CDOT issue for our city, because we certainly want the businesses, and yet this is, the drive-through can be problematic in certain communities and certain intersections, so.
And I agree with you, and that's why we're hoping to work directly with them, because we also represent the Dunkin' Donuts. We have the same issue there also. They keep telling us that between 70 and 80% of their business goes through the drive-through.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Be well, be safe, everyone.
All right, top of page 6. Document number 20655 in the 38th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. This common address, 4019 North Marmora Avenue. Change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RT4 Residential 2-Flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. Fred Augustin. Fred, how are you?
Good. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Fred Augustin, attorney on this matter with offices at 33 North LaSalle. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, 4019 North Marmora LLC. Applicant is the owner of the property at 4019 North Marmora. Property is currently improved with a 2-story residential building with a basement. It does contain 2 units. We are seeking the rezoning from the current RS3 district to an RT4 district. The existing building will remain. By rezoning it to an RT4. It provides the owner the opportunity to convert the basement into a dwelling unit. So after the zoning change and after the project is completed, the property will have 3 dwelling units. We have worked with Alderman Sposato and his office on this matter. I believe you should have a letter of support in the file. So I'm here to answer any questions the committee may have.
All right, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Sposato. Questions for the applicant or the alderman, but all right. Can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Austin.
Alderman Austin makes that motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing no objections, the item is passed. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Oh, we're gonna stick with you. Let's go. Item number, middle of page 6. Item number 20664 T1. First Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address 1358 West Ohio Street. Change request from an RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RM5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Fred.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Again, Fred Augustin, here on behalf of the applicant, Varial Properties LLC. Applicant is the contract purchaser of the property at 1358 West Ohio Street. Property is kind of a unique lot. It only contains 1,800 square feet and it's currently vacant. We are seeking a rezoning from the current RS3 district to an RM5 district. The applicant, with the zoning change, the applicant would like to redevelop the property with a new 3-story residential building that will contain 2 units and 2 on-site parking spaces. And the reason why, again, we're seeking the RM5 is, again, the lot's very short. It's only 72 feet deep. We have worked with Alderman LaSpada and his office on this matter. We had a community meeting. We also presented before the Eckhart Park Community Council, all in support. I believe they're supposed to communicate with your office on a letter or support for the zoning change. With that, I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. Fred, we do have a letter of support from Alderman LaSpada. Questions by committee members on this item?
No questions. So moved by Alderman David Moore.
Alderman David Moore moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. And I think that's it with you, Fred, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
Have a great day. All right, bottom of page 6. Item number 20660 T1. 32nd Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. The common address is 1649 through 59 West Wolfram Street and 2815 through 2825 North Paulina. Change request, M12 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to an RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District. Jimena Castro was the attorney for this one.
Chairman, we're gonna, I thought we had requested to defer this one, but apparently not.
We did.
Well, wait, I think we're getting the deferral now. Chairman walks back.
Yep, sorry about that. We just had not finished up a meeting with the neighborhood group, and I want to make sure we do that before we move forward.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so Ms. Jimena Castro, are you asking for the deferral on this item?
Yes, for this item and for the following item as well. So for 2066-021 and for the following
Well,
item.
we'll do one at a time, Jimena, okay? Just so we'll do that one first, okay. So, Alderman Raboyes makes the motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the deferral?
So move.
Hearing none, this item is deferred. Okay, now stick with me because I got to read the other one into the record, Jimena, okay?
Okay.
And it is item number 20659 T1 32nd Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th, 21.
Hey, young lady, how you doing?
Address is 1628 through 58 West Wolfram, 2833 through 45 North Paulina Street. Again, change request, M12 Manufacturing Business Park District to an RT4 Residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. All right, so Jimena, I'm going to ask you, are you asking to defer this item also?
Correct.
Okay, so the item needs to be deferred. Alderman Raboyes makes a motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing no objections, this item is being deferred. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to move to the middle of page 7, document number 20658. In the 12th Ward, ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address is 1642 through 1644 West 38th Place. Change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District, RT4 Residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Jimena, I think you're the attorney on this one also.
Yes. So thank you. Hi, good morning, Chairman, members of the committee and staff. My name is Jimena Castro. I'm a zoning attorney at Acosta Esgar. And as the chairman said, I'm one of the attorneys for the applicant, Juan Jose Garcilaso, for the subject case. The proposed rezoning aims to split a zoning lot into 2 lots. One of the lots is improved with a 2-flat and the other lot is a vacant lot. The rezoning will allow the applicant, Juan Jose, and his wife, Angelica, to build a single-family home on the vacant lot. And the owner of the adjacent property, which is a 2-flat, he is the father of Juan Jose, so he is 100% on board with the rezoning, and we also have a letter of support from Alderman Cardenas, which was applied to the committee this morning.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman Cardenas. Any questions from committee members on this split lot issue? Hearing none, can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman.
That is Chairman Dowell makes that motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bottom of page 7. This is document number 20646, 29th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. The common address is 7517 West Belmont Avenue. And the change request, a B31 Community Shopping District to a C12 Neighborhood Commercial District. Dean Maragos.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
We can. Proceed, Dean.
Thank you. This is Dean Maragos of the law firm of Maragos and Maragos. I have with me the applicant in case any questions are posed by the committee. The purpose of this is to add 651 square foot addition to an existing car detailing facility and add a second and third floor, each totaling 2,155 square feet and each containing 2 dwelling units. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, this business has been in business for over 30 years. It's been an asset to the community. And they had recently a tragic fire which burned down the entire building. And luckily there was no loss of life. But they are reestablishing themselves, expending a substantial amount of money to build the building, the car detailing, and add residential. We've met extensively with the alderman, and he has given us his approval on January 15th, which we sent to the committee on March 25th. And we will entertain any questions that you have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, Dean. Obviously, it was a tragic fire, but they're actually building a bigger building than what was destroyed, correct?
Absolutely, and it'll even be a further asset to the community as a result of their construction.
All right, so we have received a letter of support from Chairman Telefaro. Any questions for the applicant or alderman? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Pass Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank you,
Dean,
Mr. Chairman.
on a side note, not zoning related though, when you have a terrible fire like that, most insurance policies require you to build exactly what was destroyed.
I've got my client.
It's not a zoning issue, but
right.
You know, I've been through fires, and insurance is a whole different ball of wax. I'll tell you that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They're aware of that, and they will also be augmenting the amount with their own personal funds.
All righty. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Top of page 8. Document number 20648, 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. This common address is 1423 West Huron Street. Change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Mark Kupiak or Agnes Pleka.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members.
Okay,
of
Alicia.
My name is, can you hear me?
We can proceed, Agnes.
My name is Agnes Black. I'm an attorney with Law Office of Mark Kupiak and Associates located at 77 West Washington, Chicago. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Wentworth 50 LLC, who is the contract purchase of the subject property located at 1423 West Huron Street. And first things first, we would like to ask to amend this application to a type 1 zoning change. And I have submitted prior to the zoning committee type 1 plans and type 1 narrative to the zoning department.
All right, so Alderman Raboyes moves to amend the application to a type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is now amended to a type 1 application. Continue.
And this proposed zoning change is from the RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. And very simply, the subject property is currently improved with a very old, 100 years old frame, 3-story residential building with 3 dwelling units. And the applicant is simply proposing to replace this existing building, which has been vacant for some time and has multiple structural issues. He's proposing to replace it with a brand new masonry construction, 3-story residential building with 3 dwelling units. And we have presented the project to the Eckhart Park Community Council. We also participated in a larger community meeting organized by Alderman Brunette. And we have received support both from the community group and from the community at large. And I believe the Alderman Brunette is here today as well.
All right, thank you, Agnes. Alderman Brunette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. As Agnes stated, they did get support from the Eckhart Park Community Council, and we did have a community meeting. And they got the support of the adjoining neighbors to this property. This developer is a good developer and does a good job. So we ask for the committee support on this zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions for the applicant or the Alderman? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to move this item as amended to a type 1 by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Mr. Chairman, by Alderman Austin.
That is Alderman Austin makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as amended to the type 1. Thank you, Agnes. All right. Now we're on the middle of page 8. Document number 20641 T1, 21st Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Common address is 8508 South Bishop Street. Change request. An RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Agnes, I believe you're going to be on this item also?
Yes, correct. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, my name is Agnes Pleca. I'm an attorney with law office of Mark Kukik and Associates located at 77 West Washington, Chicago. And I'm here on behalf of Lake Development, Inc. Lake Development, Inc. is the owner of the subject property. And we are requesting a zoning change from RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. And just a very quick overview, before we came here today, we have met with Alderman Brookins and a large community meeting where we received unanimous support for this proposed rehab and upper story addition to the existing single family home. Per Alderman's request, we proceeded with an elective type 1 zoning change application, and we are still proceeding with the type 1 to ensure that the single family home will remain as a single family home after the zoning change is approved. And I believe we've sent a support letter from Alderman Brookings to the community, to the committee prior to today's hearing.
Okay, go ahead. All right. We do have a letter of support from Alderman Brookins. Any questions from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to establish quorum?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
That is Alderman Raboyes makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you very much. Next, we're
Thank you so much.
on the bottom of page 8. Document number 20643, 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. The common address is 1421 West Chicago Avenue. And the change request, B12 Neighborhood Shopping District to B32 Community Shopping District. We have Adam Penkhaus. Adam? Unmute, Adam. Could you unmute?
Can you hear me now, Mr. Chairman?
We can hear you. Proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the zoning committee. My name is Adam Penkhaus, attorney for the applicant on this application. I'm here on behalf of Provare Chicago, minority-owned business on application number 20643 for 1421 West Chicago Avenue, which seeks a zoning change from a B12 to a B32 district. The building at 1421 West Chicago Avenue is an existing 4-story building. The applicant is not seeking to change the current footprint in any way. They're simply seeking the zoning change that will allow them to comply with the use table and standards of the zoning code to allow for liquor service to be in conjunction with the primary use of the property, which will be a newly established Italian restaurant. The applicant has met with the Alderman's office and the Eckhart Park Community Council Zoning Committee. They have actually received a letter of support from the Eckhart Park Zoning Committee, which was provided with the application. We also believe that Alderman Burnett has no objection, but I defer to him. We're also not aware of any other objectors at this time.
Alderman Burnett on this item.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This opportunity to get a nice restaurant on a block of Chicago Avenue, which is right down the street from where my former office used to be. The community is very accepting of it, and this zoning won't allow anything much else to go there. So myself and the community support this, and we ask for the committee support.
Alderman. Thank you, Alderman. Questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Motion so moved by Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes that motion. Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Top of page 9, 10th Ward, document number 20645 T1, 10th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. This common address is 9628 South Torrance Avenue. Change request, M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to a B11 Neighborhood Shopping District. And I will not attempt to pronounce this name. So it's Joji, but I'm not going to try. Would you help me on this one, sir?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Joji Tirumal Reddy. I'm the owner for the property. And we are proposing a daycare center and requesting a rezoning from M1 to M1-1 to B1-1 Neighborhood Shopping District. And to meet the standards, because we are increasing this daycare square footage, which is limited to M1 to the B1.
Sir, have you talked to the Alderman?
Yes, sir. Yes, we did spoke to Alderman. They are willing to, they gave us a verbal support, and we just notified yesterday that we need a supporting letter, which I was not aware of that. So we just called the Alderman's office, and they're willing to send the supporting letter to the zoning office.
Well, are they going, do we have it on? Hold on a second.
I don't think that they have sent it yet.
All right, give me that. All right, so I did just speak with the Alderwoman, and she is in support of this application. So with that, do we have committee members' questions? What side, maybe you can answer this question. How, this is in a, is it in a PMD or no? And
M1.
What's the size of this? What's the size of the daycare?
The daycare is around approximately 7,000 to 9,000 between the square footage, the total size. And we also have 14 existing, we've shown 14 existing parking spaces for the staff and the parents.
All right. Is Patrick Murphy on the call? Patrick?
Chairman, this is Anna Robles in zoning.
Okay, Anna, on this issue, is this did you hear my question on this?
Yes, it's not a PMD, it's a manufacturing zone, M1.
Okay. So there's, because we were passing, we were doing a lot with this PMDs and the daycare as part of them, and that's why I brought up the question.
Yeah,
But
this is directly across from a residential neighborhood just west of it and some industrial just east of it.
Okay, thank you, Anna. All right. I don't have any hands up, any questions? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? And
So
that
moved,
is-
Alderwoman Hadden.
Alderwoman Hadden makes that motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Page 9, let's see, document number 20663 T1 in the second ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. The common address is 1341 West Wrightwood Avenue, and the change request, C11 Neighborhood Commercial District to an RM5 Residential Multi-Unit District. All right, Dan Lauer.
Mr. Chairman, we need to defer this matter, please. I would so move.
All right, so Alderman Hopkins is making a motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item will be deferred.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now we're page. Oh, per the Alderman. Okay. All right, let me read this in the record. My understanding is this is going to be deferred by Alderman LaSpada, but for the record, document number 20642, First Ward, ordinance was referred on March 24th of 2021. Let's see, the change address, common address, 1535 North Maplewood Avenue, and the change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. All right, so I'll need a motion to defer this item since Alderman LaSpada is not a committee member.
So move, Mr. Chair.
All right, that is Vice Chair Raboyes makes the motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? None, the item is deferred. All right, top of page 10. Document number 19880, 25th Ward. Ordinance was referred on December 12th of what year? 2018. Okay. Common address on this one, 37 South Sangamon. Change request, DX5, Downtown Mixed Use District to Residential Plan Development. And we have Rich Clouder is on the attorney on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to you and members of the committee. My name is Rich Clouder. From DLA Piper, 444 West Lake Street, we represent Sangamon Row LLC in connection with the plan development approval request for the property at 37 South Sangamon in the 25th Ward. Very briefly, this would involve enabling an 80-unit for-sale condominium building at 37 South Sangamon. This application was considered and recommended for approval by the Chicago Plan Commission on April 15th, 2021. And I would like, as a preliminary matter, to request transcript of those proceedings and the resolution from the Plan Commission last week be incorporated into the record here today.
So moved, Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Lopez moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the records are now incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you noted at the outset, this project has received an extensive vetting in the neighborhood since the application was filed 2+ years ago. Ultimately, the project was downsized both as to scale and density. As we mentioned at the Plan Commission last week, a key feature of the project and one about which we are very proud and which received plaudits at the Plan Commission last week is an innovative off-site ARO strategy in partnership with the Pilsen Housing Cooperative. PICO is a Pilsen-based co-op whose mission is to reverse the effects of gentrification and displacement by facilitating the creation of affordable housing targeted at artists and families. The developer of this project has entered into a written agreement with PICO. That agreement has been reviewed by DOH and will initially result in the rehabilitation of a 6-unit co-op building at 1716 South Morgan. We also hope to be able to replicate this partnership and to create additional off-site affordable units pursuant to that sort of template that we've negotiated with them. We appreciate your time and consideration, of course, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, we respectfully request that you recommend City Council approval of this application. And I do believe that you have on file a letter of support from Alderman Sigcho Lopez.
All right, we do have, we'll see if Sigcho is on the call. I was obviously at Plan Commission when this was heard and did hear his support there. Alderman Sigcho Lopez.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, Sigcho.
Okay, thank you. This is my volume. No, thank you, and I want to thank the the applicants for the patience on this matter. This is a project that has gone a very robust community zoning process that goes back a few years ago at least. We wanted to make sure that we're respectful of the West Loop residents. This is a project that had a lot more density, which some of the residents objected to. The applicant changed completely the project. We are in a much different project that is more mindful of the density, the traffic, the congestion, and we want to make sure that we don't affect the quality of life of West Loop residents, and at the same time providing a fair share of community benefits agreements to the 25th ward as a whole. So I'm grateful. I know PICO or cooperative in Pilsen is going to receive funding to expand on a property that they had before. This is unprecedented in the city of Chicago. I want to thank the applicant and the Department of Housing for working diligently to make this possible. I know that PICO, the cooperative, is supportive of this project. We also have made a commitment of all 25th ward resources of the 10% available for this project in neighborhood opportunity funds to go towards a green space and green initiatives for the West Loop, and every other project that has also given us resources. We're going to combine all the resources available towards green space for the West Loop in our efforts to make this a good project for all the 25th ward community, where these conversations went through community public meetings, the zoning advisory board, to come out with a fair agreement. I think that this project also includes minority businesses on the site, and we believe that we had a conversation with the community that get us to a much better place, and hopefully it starts continuing bringing better precedent what kind of development can do for our communities as a whole. So I'm happy to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Alderman Ray Lopez has his hand up on this. Raymond.
Thank you, Chairman, and again, good afternoon, committee. I actually just want to commend our colleague on the excellent use of aldermanic prerogative. Clearly, this was something that started before him, but he was able to advocate and collaborate per his wishes and the wishes of the community. So look forward to seeing this. Thank you.
Thank you. As a member of Plan Commission, there was quite a bit of debate, if I'm not mistaken, Rich, on this item. Obviously, it's a handsome building, went through a lot of community review. But one question I forgot to recall, this is adjacent to the Merritt School of Music, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct, yes.
Originally, there was going to be 2 towers there, and obviously there's not. Is Merritt moving or what? What are they doing?
We do not have any understanding that they intend to move. The original plan would have made use of some of their air rights, but obviously that's no longer around. And even under that iteration of the plan, they were not intending to leave anytime soon.
Right. And then what was on this property before? Was it part of the Merritt School? I see parking is kind of adjacent to the Merritt, but what is on that property now?
It's vacant as far as I know. I don't know what its prior use was. I will note that it has been used because of the generosity of the developers as a community garden for the last 3 years while this project has been going through the entitlements process. And that's just another example of, I think, a very nice community partnership that Alderman Cicho Lopez was able to facilitate.
All right. Questions from committee members? No? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the last roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So move, Chairman. Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Lopez moves to pass as revised. Any objections to that motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as revised. Congratulations, Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Thank you all.
Okay, thanks, Rich. All right, now we're moving middle of page 10. Document number 20403 in the 20th Ward. Ordinance was referred on May 20th of 2020. Common address is 63rd Street and Calumet Avenue. Change request, M12 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District and B33 Community Shopping District to plan development. And we have Sanford Stein.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I am Sanford Stein, the L&G Law Group. I'm very pleased to be representing the Chicago Transit Authority today on its non-revenue vehicle maintenance shop in the 20th Ward. As indicated, this is a rezoning from M12 and B3 to M21 and plan development. Mr. Chairman, members, this matter was heard before the Chicago Plan Commission on January 21, 2021, and I'd ask if the Planning Commission record could be incorporated into the committee record.
Alderman Raboyes moves to incorporate the, I'm sorry, who is that?
Sorry, Chairman, I was just going to move to incorporate.
Alderman Wagasback moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the records are now incorporated. Continue, Sanford.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Many thanks to the DPD and committee staff for their extraordinary help in getting this project ready for presentation at CPC as well as this committee. This project will allow for a new and necessary maintenance facility at for the CTA non-revenue vehicles. These are the things that fix the track. These are you'll see more. You'll see some visuals of this in a moment. It's the rolling stock to keep the tracks safe and the trains running on time. We have worked with Alderman Taylor and engaged in her very detailed and effective community engagement process, and we understand she's on the call as well. We have a brief presentation, and at this time, I think it's best if I turn the matter over to Mr. Bill Mooney, who is the Chief Infrastructure Officer for the CTA, who will explain what we're going to be doing. Mr. Mooney. While waiting for Mr. Mooney, I can simply explain this is an example, one of the, I think over 200 pieces or 120 pieces of equipment, extensive equipment the CTA operates to maintain the rail line as it is. These take a beating and they require a lot of maintenance. The new shop will allow for, I think, 16 working bays to keep these machines running and effectively and on their job. Next slide, please. This is a site plan of the proposed facility. This land has been owned by the CTA since 1947. It's currently used as a an open storage yard. You can see the tracks coming in. The blue areas where the new building will be. You can look at the heavy landscaping and the decorative fence along the perimeter of the facility. To the east is the Dulles School and the Parkway Gardens housing units, and we have plans to work with them as well. Next slide. And Mr. Mooney says he's not in the live session. I don't know why. The upper two slides here show existing conditions. This looks like kind of a bland, unsightly industrial site. The lower two are the renderings of what we will be producing here, which will be a handsome building, heavily landscaped, and with consideration for the neighboring facilities. Next slide, please. This also shows you the proposed building from some different perspectives, but on the left-hand slide, please take a look at the upper right-hand corner. That is the Norfolk Southern Intermodal Yard. We will be providing visual and audible screening from that facility. Next slide, please. So example of the landscaping that is considerable on the Calumet side, which is over here to the right, and then all along the entire length of the site on 63rd. Provide screening and buffering. Next slide, please. So an example of the transportation plan working with CDOT. All the entries will come in from 63rd. There's only one entry to the site, and all turning radiuses or radii will be accommodated within the site. Next slide. Stormwater maintenance. We will be detaining water on the site and improving area conditions with extra stormwater detention, relieving existing conditions that have sometimes caused some flooding. Next slide, please. We'll be maintaining our sustainable, consistent with the Chicago Sustainability Ordinance, have achieved 100 points and look forward to a nice sustainable development as demonstrated in this slide. Next slide, please. The CTA has a very intense.
All right. We lost you there for a second, Sanford. You're frozen.
It will be ADA compliant and consistent with all the workforce development goals. Thank you. For the next slide, please. CTA is very proud to deliver quality, affordable transit services that link people, jobs, and communities. And this facility will improve that throughout the system. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions.
Right. Sanford, this is in the 20th ward. I think we have Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor on the call. Alderwoman? Alderwoman Taylor, would you unmute?
I am here, Chairman. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining in your patience on this one. So.
No problem. Good afternoon, everybody. And so the community is in support of this project. We did have the CTA meet with our community development team, which is made up of a team of community members from around the board. And they also hosted with us 2 ward meetings. The community did give some pushback and have some concerns. Because to Mr. Stayer's credit, they have been in the ward for a while, but never really had any relationships with the community. And so the community has asked that CTA do 2 hiring fairs and be committed to working with Hyde Park High School and Inglewood STEM, because too often we don't have the conversations about jobs that are available at CTA. And so I'm definitely, Mr. Nichols has done a great job at coordinating with our office and having the conversations, and so even having conversations about making sure that the area is kept clean. It is behind the historic Parkway Gardens, which we all know First Lady Michelle Obama lived in, and it's behind Dulles Elementary School, who definitely would need the support and needs to know that CTA is a partner in the community and not just somebody who takes up space. And so they do have my letter of support for this project. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Alderwoman Taylor. Any questions for the applicant, CTA, and Alderman Taylor? I don't see any hands up. All right, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman.
That is Chairman Dowell makes that motion to move to pass. Any objections to the motion? No objections. This item is passed as revised. All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Next.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. Good luck on that one. All right, bottom of page 10. This is our last item before we go back to Alderman Coleman's ordinances. But let me read this one into the record. It's document number 20581, 7th Ward. Ordinance was referred on December 16th of 2020. Common address is 10318 South Torrance Avenue. And the change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to B31 Community Shopping District. And we have John Pekarsky. Okay, so is Mr. Pekarsky? Okay, so Mr. Pekarsky has asked this item to be deferred. So can I get a motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Lopez makes the motion. Any objections? Hearing none, the item is deferred. Now, we're going to go back to page 1, and I'm going to read the document numbers and the address for the 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the 16th ward. And I will read them 4 and then take a motion to defer all 4 at the conclusion of me reading them into the record. So first we have a document number A8618, 16th Ward, and the address is 1058 West 59th Street. The second item is document number A8619, 16th Ward. This common address is 1114 West 59th Street. The third item is A8620, 16th Ward, common address 5800 South Ada Street. And finally, document number A8622, 16th Ward. This common address is 5822 South Halsted Street. So can I get a motion to defer these 4 items by the last roll call that was used to determine?
Mr. Chairman, I moved on the first one, so I'll move on these as well.
Okay, well then, Chairwoman Carrie Austin makes that motion to defer all four of these. Any objections to her motion? Or motions, I should say. All right, hearing none, these four items will be deferred. And now I believe, my staff tells me a motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Alderman Hopkins, so moves.
Alderman Hopkins moves to adjourn. Any objections to that? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned, and I want to thank everyone for their patience on these items, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All
Have a
right.
great day.